Thank the Chair. I want to thank you for teeing up this hearing today. 12 years to address an issue that is one of the great existential crises that we face as a human species on this planet is the height of legislative malpractice and dereliction of duty. And hopefully this will be the first of many hearings on the policy that we need to be pursuing to address this threat. Dr. Jha, I want to also thank you for pointing out that my hometown hospital, Gunderson, was leading the way as zero carbon emission, and Dr. Jeff Thompson right now is on the road delivering seminars and talks to other health systems on how they can best approach it. And in a second, I want to come back to you, Dr. Jha, to just comment on, my colleague mentioned the Green New Deal, but I want you to talk about the Brown Old Deal that the current administration is taking right now, rolling back policy steps to address global climate change and how that's violating the Hippocratic Oath of first doing no harm. But before I do, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask unanimous consent that we include in the record at this time a front-page article that appeared in the USA Today yesterday that's titled CO2 Level Highest in Human History.
So ordered.
And Dr. Marvel, I'm going to ask you to comment on this article. This was based on data from the Mauna Loa Observatory in Hawaii, where they found that the carbon dioxide levels surpassed 415 parts per million last Friday. Eric Holthaus, a meteorologist, commented in the article, and I quote, "We don't know a planet like this." He went on to state that this is the first time in human history our planet's atmosphere has had more than 415 parts per million CO2, not just in recorded history, not just since the invention of agriculture 10,000 years ago, since before modern humans existed millions of years ago. The article also goes on to state that in the 800,000 years before the Industrial Revolution, CO2 levels didn't even approach 300 parts per million, let alone 415 that we're addressing today. You mentioned that we're not at a tipping point, that this isn't irreversible in that, but what's the significance of that type of finding in regards to the time that we have to address this challenge today?
I agree with the quotes that you read, and I fear that we will see that headline many more times unless we act. I think it is correct that we have never seen carbon dioxide levels this high in human history. The most direct analog we have is 2.5, 3 million years ago during an epoch called the Middle of the Pliocene. And during that time, we have evidence that the climate was much, much warmer. Sea levels were much, much higher. And this is a great example of the past helping us to inform the future.
Well, for the benefit of us lay people here on the dais and also back home, how do we know what CO2 levels were 800,000 to 1 million years ago?
So 800,000 years ago, we have ice core records. We can drill into ice cores and count the bubbles, basically, and see what carbon dioxide levels were back then. When we start going farther and farther back in time, millions of years ago, we have to rely on the fossil record.
Now, there's also been some confusion in regards to global climate change and weather patterns. Could you describe the difference, the distinction?
So my colleague Marshall Shepard, who's a professor at the University of Georgia, put it really well, I think, when he said, weather is your mood and climate is your personality. Nobody is saying that climate change is going to get rid of weather. We're still going to have winter, we're still going to have cold days. But what climate change is doing is it's changing that long-term average. It's changing that underlying pattern, and that's what we have to be worried about.
Dr. Jha, getting back to the Brown Old Deal, what the current administration is pursuing. I wanted you to comment, because we all should be operating under the basic Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm. And this administration unilaterally withdrew us from the Paris Climate Agreement. The only nation, by the way, in the entire world that's not a part of that agreement today. That should send a very strong signal to us. But they've also rolled back fuel efficiency standards. They've also relaxed the rule prohibiting the use of hydrofluorocarbons. They've also removed the requirement for the reporting of methane gas emissions. They're reversing federal rules on coal power plants, including. I mean, it seems like there's a major effort to roll back the progress that we were trying to make. What significance does this have?
Yeah, so Congressman, thank you for your question. You know, as a physician, when I have sick patients in front of me, I don't have the luxury of wondering about what future innovations may help, what policies are going to be ideal. I need to act, and I need to act based on the best scientific evidence of that moment. And what we know is that fossil fuels are deeply harmful to the American people. When we burn them, we not only create carbon, but we also emit a whole set of other pollutants that our lungs and our heart just do not tolerate very well. And so we have very clear evidence that clean energy is better for human health than fossil fuels. And the policies of the administration, for instance, Congressman Lewis asked earlier about the effect on underrepresented minorities and on poor communities in the U.S. The dirty cars that line our cities today disproportionately affect those communities. And rolling back of fuel economy rules is not helpful. It doesn't get us moving forward.
As we conclude, may I ask unanimous consent to have included in the record at this time a list of the items the current administration is pursuing to roll back efforts to combat climate change? Thank you.
Thank the gentleman. Let me recognize the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Rice, to inquire.